You're welcome back. Time for Joy News Interactive, and the lovely Aisha is here with me. Aisha, good evening.
Good evening.
Always resplendent in very bright colors.
I love your necklace. It's so beautiful.
I'm carrying the sun around my neck. That's what someone says.
And it's brightening, you know, as usual, like the sun. And you know how to join the discussion. It's on facebook.com/joynewsontv. On Twitter is on Joy News on TV. Let's have a beautiful conversation. Remember, no harsh words. Let's make it beautiful. And Akufo-Addo earlier today, President today named COP David Asante Apitu as acting IGP after John Kudalo's retirement was announced at the Flagstaff House. John Kudalo, who was appointed by former President Mahama to the position as acting IGP in November 2015, later made him substantive in February last year. Now, as he retires, I'm sure the immediate past IGP must have left something worth remembering during his tenure. And so I ask, what would you remember him for?
For him as a person who was firm and up to his decision, to his office. He executed his office with all the delegates, necessary delegates. I think he was strictly professional.
I don't think I followed him much, but I also think that he was one of the guys who did well with the visibility. I mean, the police visibility. I think that he pushed up with police presence in the society. He also yeah, basically, I think that is what I would remember him for, because he really advocated for such issues.
All right, those were some comments from the streets. Let's check what you've been saying on Facebook. Arba will help us do that.
Well, whilst we wait for the comments on Facebook, we've been discussing this with Jifa earlier on the show, and indeed, one of the things that he will be most remembered for is ensuring that the elections were conducted in a free, fair, and a safe environment. But let's go to Facebook now. And Kwesi Boating Aipa writes, I will remember him for his reshuffle tsunami he conducted just as he assumed office. Also, I'll remember him for the police being indolent when it comes to brutalities against other political opponents during his term of office. Robert Loud Washman says, I remember how poorly he handled the Let My Vote Count march for a new voters register, how unprofessionally he handled the situation of Naba, the brother of Honorable Collins Dauda. But I also remember him for supervising over the most peaceful election so far in Ghana.
Exactly what you just said.
Yes. And Fasasi Ibn Last Son says, clearing the police from the streets but allowed them back shortly after the elections. That's what you remember him for. Honorable Hafiz Timbile says, the threat to shut down social media on election day and the decision to stop checking licenses by officers on the road.
And Prince Nuruddin Baumia says, for his humble role in maintaining peace and security in the country. Rich Brunei Darussalam says, a pillar in maintaining peace and harmony, and his gentle visit today to the Flagstaff House. Eban Doe says he's cool and not firm on certain acts of the youth that destroyed them. He is unique. Alexis says empty threats of shutting down social media. And those are some of the things that people remember immediate past IGP John Kudalo for. Also, Minister-designate for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Catherine Afeku, seemed to be in a difficult situation after reports emerged that she and her husband had duped an American couple and were ordered by the court to pay the amount involved. The issue, which is being probed by the president, is gaining public interest. Now, Mrs. Afeku is expected to also take her turn at the vetting committee as she justifies reasons to be allowed to serve as Minister of the State. Now, if you were in her position, would you give up your nomination or, take chances and face the vetting committee in the light of such compromise and revelation?
it's a tough choice. I mean, it's something I'd have to contemplate on. If I look at it and I weigh that, oh, if I go, it could get me in trouble, I would withdraw. But withdrawing too might implicate you that, okay, yes, you could have done it. I'll just take the risk. I mean, if I think I've made mistakes in the past and I can defend my actions, I would.
Well, I think going for the veteran is suicidal because you know you're guilty. Why would you push yourself under the bus? So I'll just withdraw because I didn't give anybody the chance to even dig into my past in the first place. So that's basically it. Well, it depends. It depends upon evidence at hand. If you love power is one thing. You go for the veteran, it's possible you might go to jail. So whether you can't have power in jail. So what's the point? I'll back down.
Yes, I would go for what I believe in because I believe I have something good to offer as a minister. But the fraud case would have to be dealt separately, I mean, in the right authority. I could be disqualified, and that's also based on merits, how I perform at the vetting, you know, so that is a case on its own. But embarrassment, yes, if I'm found guilty, of course, I'll feel embarrassed. Yeah, the embarrassment is there. I now have to face up with what I did in the past. But for me, personally, I believe that people change.
I'll proceed, but then I'll make sure I prove to Ghanaians that I'm worthy of the position.
All right, so that's what people are saying on the streets. Let's see the messages coming on Facebook. Araba.
Well, Kwesi Boateng-Ayipa writes, the fact that the minister-designate is blemished with a charge, I guess she should step aside for her to be probed, and when found out to be unblemished, then she can go ahead with the vetting. Mate Set says it will be in her own interest to think twice. Maybe she can even win the appeal. And Prince Nuruddin Baumia writes, let's wait for the outcome of the probe by His Excellency Nana Addo because most scandals are usually allegations. Bra Fortune GH says, now you start to give us scammer as minister. And Demi Dear Simon says she should be vetted. And Eban Do writes, she must go ahead and prove herself right.
All right, so those are some of the comments, and of course I think that it's a really, really dicey situation for her, you know, having such a juicy position or being a higher position, and because of some of these things, you know.
But I think that, I mean, in her own interest, it's better her name is cleared totally before she goes ahead
and I
with
think
the
that
vetting.
if she's able to face, I mean, if she faces the vetting committee, maybe she can also explain better what all the issues are to clear the minds of all
Wait to
Ghanaians.
see what happens next.
All right. So finally, a South African prophet has come under lots of criticism for asking his congregants to drink motor oil if they want to be saved, healed, and delivered. Really? Unfortunately, most of the people heeded to this, and there are photos of the prophet of Breath of Christ Ministries serving mouthfuls with what is said to be Haviland motor oil to his congregants, most of whom seem glad to ingest the toxic substance. Now, we've heard similar stories of spiritual leaders asking their congregants to chew grass, drink urine, and more. Why do you think people go to the extreme to heed to such directives from their spiritual leaders?
I think they over-trust their spiritual leaders. So they think whatever their spiritual leaders are telling them, when they abide by it, when they do whatever they say, they will also gain or they will also benefit from whatever they are demanding from God. That is one reason. The other reason may also be like they've seen their spiritual fathers doing such things and it works for others, so they think when they also do, it will work for them. That is why I think they go to that extent. God gave us the ability to think, you understand? So whenever somebody is telling you something or your spiritual leader is leading you to do something, you have the ability to think and also subscribe to whatever the person is telling you. So I think if they should also look at that issue, that whatever the person is telling me, to me, will it work?
So I think that the problem has to do with the continual propagation of a certain type of message
I think that for us who study social science, you understand that Karl Marx said something that religion is the opium of the masses. So I think when they get to hear some of these things over time, they tend to believe it. And once they believe it, anything you ask them to do, I mean, they will do it.
By what they are told and what they believe, or maybe by some miracles that the person has performed for them, or by testimonies that they hear that about things that people have done of such acts. So I think they believe that if it has worked for you, then it's supposed to work for me too. So if I have to do what she's asking me or what the person is asking me to do, I mean, I just do it.
I would say it's out of ignorance, and those people do not study the Bible. And our sole example is Jesus Christ. And if you want to, proceed or do anything in life, in terms of the Bible, as a Christian, you have to follow the principles of the Bible. That's all. Any other thing that a man tell you out of the Bible is demonic. That's what I would say.
All right, so those were some comments you've been saying from the streets of Accra. I know a lot more people are talking about this interesting phenomenon on Facebook. Araba will help us read your messages.
Indeed, they are. Kwesi Boateng Ayipa writes, the panacea to some of these problems is for Christians to read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, and a Muslim reading the Quran and practicing it. No pastor or imam can fool you again when you are knowledgeable about the holy book. That is very well said, Kwesi Boateng Ayipa. Prince Nuruddin Baumia writes, because those people fail to believe in God, period. Why should human beings be allowed to drink engine oil, urine, grass by their so-called spiritual leaders? What a pity. And Ebando says, it's just that the church has major on the minor and minor on the major, thus making followers slaves. That's quite interesting.
And Raphael Bowers Akwe says, lack of knowledge, my people perish. Joyce Enyonam Gavor says, what? And Chamu Mohammed says, crazy. Asuntam Rich Yunus says, desperation, and they don't study scripture. And Raf Wing says, vehicles. So those people are vehicles. All right, so